All right, well, I'm hitting record because we're going to kick this call off, and I'm going to give Nina the proper introduction that she deserves for our call. So yeah, if you're just hopping on, she is hugely dedicated to this tonight because of her situation, always being on the go, which is so appropriate for our call, Win the Week, all about managing your time and being disciplined. She is one of the absolute best at it. And like me, she started this business while she was working full-time as an elementary school teacher. And she built this business so she could leave that, have the option to leave her full-time position as a teacher and be a full-time coach and fully present with her family, with everything that they have going on. She has 3 kiddos. She's a firefighter wife. She is a 3-star diamond coach. She's been in Success Club for 74 months, so she knows what the heck she's doing. And she and myself and Courtney and Shayla have been working together for a year now, which is awesome. So that's why we wanted all of you to be on here because, we meet weekly. If you don't know this about us, we meet weekly and brainstorm and mastermind how we can best serve all of you and serve, our teams and serve the people that we are all helping, which that's ultimately, what we all want to be doing is serving people through health and wellness. And when she was talking about this call, we were like, yes, we all need to hear this. Every single person needs to hear about winning the week and managing their time because that is such a huge part of what we do as coaches. So thank you, Nina, for being so dedicated and being here tonight despite all obstacles for those of you doing MBA.
Yes. Thank you for the intro, Michelle. I'm absolutely honored to be here, and I'm just honored to be able to work side by side with Michelle for the last few years and with Courtney and Shayla for the last year. We have our own business, but this business is not meant to be done alone. And there's so much power in what the 4 of us have, where it's true collaboration and there's never any competition. And I truly feel like I'm a better coach because of the 3 of them. So I'm absolutely honored to be here today. And I am going to talk about a planning schedule that I use that honestly is a lifesaver for me. And now, while Michelle gave you guys a little bit of an introduction, or myself a little bit of gave an introduction of myself to you guys, I want to share a little bit about where I was when I came up with this planning process so it makes a little bit more sense to you. So 6 years ago, June would have been 6 years. So 6 years ago in June, I was on summer break from teaching. I was teaching elementary school and have 3 kids. And with my 3 kids, all of them were, my oldest was 9 at that time. And during the summer, just like this summer, and into the fall, it's wildfire season. And my husband is the head of the wildland team for his department. So he's a career firefighter, but then he is an engine boss for his wildland team. So he's responsible for taking crews out. And he'll travel anywhere around the country when it's needed. So I started my business in the summer, and it was awesome because I didn't have to go to school. I was just over my busy teacher time, and I, just had 3 kids at home with me that I could have fun with. But then August hit, and there is no type of busy, like back to school busy for a teacher. And if you have 3 kids that are elementary school age or younger, and a husband that is gone for 21 days at a time, there's no type of busy like that busy. But like Michelle said, I've never ever missed a month of Success Club because I have always known what I wanted with this business. And I've always had this philosophy that there's one thing in life that we all have equal. We can say we weren't born into this or they have it better because of this situation or that situation. But the one thing in life that every single person has that is the same is 24 hours in a day. There aren't some people that have 26 hours. There aren't some people that only have 14 hours. And I think about myself trying to be a teacher and to be a mom and run this little side hustle business. And then I think about the president of the United States. Then I think about these people out there that are coming up with, I don't know, right now, like these vaccines for COVID. Like I think about those people. Now that's probably a lot busier than being a teacher, being a mom, and being a coach. But they somehow can get it done in the 24 hours that they have. And then busy kind of became this rite of passage. So how are you doing? Oh, I'm busy. Oh yeah. And it's kind of like, but I'm busier than you. And it's something that we use now to kind of like, I don't know, like prove our worth. And it's something that I don't like because we all do have 24 hours in a day. So I want to remind you that busy means having lots of things to do, okay? But being productive means when you do a lot and you actually create something with what you're doing. So it's the capability of doing a lot of work. So from now on, like change that I'm busy to, oh, it was such a productive day. Because busy is not fulfilling, but productive is super, super fulfilling. And usually when you're productive, you feel like you have a sense of purpose with what you're doing. And I know there were many times when I was teaching before I even started this business, and I would go to sleep at night and I would think to myself as I would lay down, oh my gosh, I was so busy today. But then I would think like, well, what did I actually get accomplished? And the things that I got accomplished weren't anything that fulfilled me. And it wasn't really, I was busy being busy, but I wasn't busy being productive. So that's when I kind of took a step back and I looked at my day and I was like, okay, I need to do something to kind of organize this so I can make sense of it. And this is a system that I've created that I swear by and I live by. And I did it in that very, very busy season. It took me 3 years to build this business, to replace my teaching salary, to do this full time. And something that I will say is that life never like gets less busy. I thought life was busy when I had 3 babies. I thought life was busy when I was a teacher with 3 elementary school kids. And now, like, I have an almost 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 9-year-old, and life is just as busy. It's just a different type of busy. So you can't wait for that next season. You can't wait for, you know, things to slow down, things to settle in. You need to embrace your busy every single day, and you need to be super intentional with what you do. So a couple things before I go through, and I'm actually going to go through like planning out our week, but a couple of things I want to remind you of before I go through this. Number one, you always need to know what you want from your life, not necessarily from this business, but what do you want from this life? You have one life, only one life, and you need to make the most of it. So what do you ultimately want from this life? And take a step back. And if you live the life that you're living right now, is that going to provide you fulfillment? And then the next question is, what do you want for your family? So you think about the life that you want, but then what kind of a life do you want to provide for your family? What do you want your family to be? And you have to communicate. So whether it's just you and a significant other, if it's just you and, you know, your kids, whoever it is, you have to communicate. So we're going to work out this schedule, but this schedule means nothing if you are not communicating it to your family. Now, for those of you that weren't on for my little like pre-introduction explaining me working in my car in the dark right now, my daughter's at a football game right now, and you're going to see how I prioritize my family. And my daughter's okay with me being down the street doing this call because we talk a lot about commitments in our family. And I communicated, Maya, I'm going to bring you to your game. I'm going to watch the first half an hour of your game. I'm going to leave for an hour, and then I'm going to watch the last half an hour of your game. Like, I'm going to see your game. I'm going to be there as much as I can, but I made a commitment before your game got scheduled. And because of that, like, because we hold commitments and we do what we say we're going to do in this family, I need to fulfill this commitment. But I want you to know that I'm going to be there, and I've never missed another one of your game. And if it weren't for work, I would still be there watching this game. And I communicated that with her, and she's fine with that. But if I all of a sudden just wasn't there and I was like, oh yeah, I had a work call, sorry, I couldn't be there, she wouldn't have been fine with that. So communication with your schedule and with your plan is huge. Now, I also communicate my goals to my family. So I tell them why I'm working. So right now we're working on a couple of really big family goals. And when they see me working, or when Maya knows that I'm leaving her game, she knows what I'm working towards. And she has been rewarded with so many things from this business already. So it's so important that you communicate what you're doing and why you're doing it and how it's going to benefit your significant other or your family. And then I want you to know we can end this call with the most perfect plan in the world. And that perfect plan isn't going to matter, it's going to change. So you can have this perfect plan, but you have to be flexible. Like this call has been planned for weeks now, and that's awesome. But I was supposed to be at home in my office. I had everything taken care of, and now here I am in the car doing this. So you have to have a backup plan, and you have to be willing to be flexible, and you always have to know what your non-negotiables are and what your priorities are, not just in this business, but in life. And then ask for help when you need it. I have a friend helping out tonight. I could not have 3 kids, run a business, and be married to a firefighter if I did not ask for help. And asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Maybe one day I'll get to the point where I can hire help, but for right now, I just lean on friends and lean on family to help me, and it's absolutely amazing. So we're gonna get into kind of the scheduling. Now, I shared a PDF with your upline coach. Maybe you got it, maybe you didn't. I can share it with all of you guys again if you didn't. And maybe you already have your own type of calendar, planner, schedule. Like, I know we're all a little bit picky with planners and schedules, so just work with what you want to work with. But something that I do is I print out this win the week, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys. This is what so this is today. So over here on the side, like we have these different priorities, and this is the order that we're going to schedule it in today. Family obligations are always the #1 thing that go on my calendar. And then work, like if you have a regular working job, that obviously has to go on your calendar. And then it's self-care, then it's sleep, and then it's the business. The business is the last thing I schedule, and I'm gonna explain why as we go through it. But I use a different color for each one of these categories. So as you can see, like mine is all color coded, and I fill up the day this way. So if you have a regular planner, that works. If you want to use this in the future, if it's going to work for you, that's great too. But right now I want to kind of get into, this is going to be an interactive call where you're going to have some work time. So right now I want you to get out your planner, and we're going to plan for the rest of this week. So I want you to look at Tuesday through Sunday for the rest of this week. And the first thing, if you do have kids, this is what the first thing that I want you to plan is I want you to plug in all of your kid activities for the work or for the week. So if you have, so for me, I would plug in all of Ella's, my oldest, soccer practices. Then I would plug in Maya's practices. Then I would plug in Tate's practices. Then I'm going to plug in their different games that they have. I'm going to plug in like school drop-off, school pickup. So if you have kids, that's what I want you to plug in right now, is everything that your kids have to do during this week. Now, if you don't have kids, you can skip to the next thing that we're going to schedule, and that's just schedule in your workday. So if you have like a job outside of Beachbody, then schedule in the job that you would work. So for instance, when I was a teacher, my teaching job, I would get to school at 7:30 and I would be there until 4 p.m. So I would schedule in 7 to 4 on my calendar in a color, like I'd go in an arrow. Now, whether you're scheduling right now kid activities or work activities, I want you to think about those blocks of time and think about if you have any windows in that time that's just kind of downtime or wasted time right now. So for me, for my kid activities, when I take Ella to practice, it's actually a 5-hour ordeal. So I listen to personal development while I'm driving. And then when I'm there at her practice, I have an hour and a half of solid work time every single day I'm at her practice that I can actually do. So I'm starting to recognize that when I schedule the kid activities. Now, as far as the work day goes, When I was teaching, I would schedule my 7:30 to 4, but then I would think about different blocks of time I would have. And I always had recess, and I would switch with my teammates who had recess duty. So on days that I didn't have recess duty, I would use that to make a post, to share on my stories, to empty my inbox. I would have my lunch break and I would eat lunch in the staff lounge, but I would actually just go in there 15 minutes late. We had a half an hour lunch break. I'd spend 15 minutes in my classroom working a little bit of Beachbody, and then I'd go into the lunchroom and finish lunch. My plan period, I would find little windows. I would say we had a 45-minute plan period. I would take the first 10 minutes and I would add a little bit of work time, of Beachbody time in there, and then I would do the rest of the plan time. So just look at, like, do those first 2 activities right now. So your kid activities, and then when you schedule in your kid activities, I want you to get into that mindset of like, could I actually get some other things done during this time? What else can I do during this time? Is there time where I'm just gossiping with other parents? Is there time that I'm just, I don't know, just sitting there mindlessly watching? Is there any way that I could maybe do a little bit of work while watching a practice? And then when you're at work, think about, like, it doesn't take a lot of time, but if you can just take 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, can you find those little pieces of time? I'm going to try to get lights in here while you guys are doing that. And I'm going to give you guys like 5 minutes to do that. And do it for the entire week too. Not every day is the same in your schedule, so make sure you do this for every day of the week. Okay, so so for me, like, it's really important for me to schedule my kid activities first, because the whole goal of me becoming a full-time coach was that I wanted to be a present parent. So obviously, like, me being able to take my kids to places and being involved in their things is a number one priority for me. So I schedule all of their stuff first. The next is going to be work, because we need to pay our bills. So we have to show up at our jobs. We have to do that. So that's kind of like a non-negotiable. Now, the third thing that I want you to schedule every single day, and this is something that might be hard for some of you, but it's self-care. And this is more important now than ever. So yes, this is the third thing that you're going to schedule. Now, it's something where self-care is kind of this thing where it's like, oh yeah, I take a bath, but while I'm in the bath, I'm like texting people and I'm like answering messages. That's not self-care. That's multitasking and pretending you're taking care of yourself to make yourself feel better. So I want you guys to strive for 20 minutes of self-care every single day. Now, some examples of self-care can be like watching a show, watching a mindless show, because it allows you to take your like turn your mind off. Like taking a bath, but leaving your phone outside of the bathroom and just sitting there and relaxing, drinking a cup of coffee outside, going out for a cup of coffee, chatting with a family member or with a friend and just catching up, pampering yourself some way. So self-care doesn't need to be this big extravagant thing. And it can just be like kind of like a time out where you're just like getting in tune with like your feelings and your thoughts and your mind. So for example, today, and every day I do this, I actually, right after lunch, schedule in a time of unplugged time where I get outside. So today I went for a bike ride. It was a half an hour long bike ride, and it did wonders to just energize myself, number one, and number two, to reset my mind and my mindset. Another thing that I did, yeah, I mean, for some people, workouts are self-care. Like my runs, I count as self-care. So if that's self-care for you, if it's going to clear your mind, if it's going to energize yourself, and if it's going to make you feel better, then absolutely it's self-care. You're taking care of yourself. And then another thing that I did was I went outside. I only had Tate home with me today. And while he was in one of his classes for half an hour, I went outside by myself, left my phone inside, brought a book out there, laid in the lawn chair, and just read my book for a half an hour. And it was absolutely amazing. So for me, a lot of self-care is unplugging and getting outside. So I want you to look at your calendar and schedule 20 minutes a day, maybe 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, but make sure you have some sort of self-care every single day. And then the next thing that we're going to schedule is actually unplugged family time or time with your significant other. This is probably something that we don't give enough time and focus on. And this is why family starts to resent us for working all of the time. And this is why, I don't know, just tension builds and all of that. So something that I do, and this does not need to be a long time at all, but there are certain times with each one of my kids that we have scheduled unplugged time so I can have one-on-one time with them and we can catch up without distractions. And then something I do with my husband is I wake up at 4:15, he stays in bed, but around 5:30 is when I'm ready to transition and get ready for my workout and everything. So at 5:30, what I do is I bring a cup of coffee upstairs, and while he's waking up in bed, I just sit next to him in bed and we kind of chat and get our morning started that way, because I've already been up, and if I just let him wake up when he wants, I'm going to be working out and then the kids go to school and all of that. So we start our day like that all the time. And at first he was like, Nina, why are you waking me up? I don't have to wake up. But now, like, he's waking up and he truly appreciates that time. And it's just, I mean, especially with the kids being home, there's not one day that we don't have a kid home, and we don't have a lot of time to ourselves. So that 10 minutes as I'm drinking a cup of coffee and just sitting there chatting in bed is huge. And then I do the same thing with my kids. I make sure I have one-on-one time with them. And we try to have unplugged family time every single night too. And what we do is we take our dogs for a walk around the block. It's about 20 minutes a night. That everybody has to leave their phone at home except for me, because I get to take a picture of us doing it to share my stories. But we walk the dogs around the block, and that's unplugged family time that we have. And it's amazing the conversations we can have during that time. So go ahead and plug in some unplugged family time. And then the last thing we're going to schedule is our business. And I intentionally save the business for the end, because unless you are working this full time, chances are you're going to be working this business in the pockets of time during the day. So now that we have our day scheduled out like this, we can find the pockets of time and we can figure out how and when we are going to work this business. Now, when we're scheduling the activities, and I'm going to take you through to schedule the different activities, something that has worked really well for me since the very first day I started coaching is doing everything in the same exact order. So still today, even though I work this business as a full-time job, I work the business in the same exact order, and I still work in pockets. It's just I have a lot more time now, so I do a lot more. I do the same exact things that I'm going to tell you guys to do. I just do more of them because I have more time and different goals. So I want you to look at your schedule, and I want you to start noticing some little windows of time that you may have, or pockets of time. So for me, when I plan out my schedule, say it was my school schedule, I would find that, okay, I was getting to school a half an hour early. So I could use that half an hour of time to do business while I got to school, or I could start staying home a half an hour later and I could do a little bit of business at home. Now for me, there were less distractions at school because the kids knew I was in school mode. So I would get to school a half an hour early and I would work my business then. I also knew I had to stay after school a little bit longer. And again, the kids, like, just contractual time made me stay after school after the kids left. And I'd clean my room up, I'd get it set for the next day, and then I'd stay after an extra 15 minutes when I could to, again, just empty my inbox and get organized for the rest of the day. Because as soon as the kids were with me, like, I didn't know what was going to happen. That's when I started changing my schedule at work, where I would take 15 minutes of my lunchtime. I would take 15 minutes of a plan time, and I just looked at every little pocket of time I had. Then I realized there was not enough time in the day. So I looked at when was I going to sleep and when was I waking up? Well, I was going to sleep at about 9 o'clock and I was waking up at about 6 o'clock in the morning. And I realized that, I probably don't need that much sleep. And what if I just wake up a half an hour earlier every single day? That's going to give me an extra half an hour a day. And then I kept building on that and I kind of made it into this monster. And I started waking up at 4:15 in the morning. So I would have 3 solid hours before I had to leave to drive to school. And there's a lot you can get done in 3 hours, especially when your kids are sleeping for 2 hours of that time. And I would always work out before I went to school, and I could get a solid power in before I went to school. Still to this day, my husband thinks I'm crazy because I don't leave the house until about 4 o'clock every afternoon, and I still wake up at 4:15 in the morning because that is the only protected time I have, because things happen like this where Maya gets a makeup game and this happens and that happens and Morgan gets called into work. So that is my only sacred time. So that's what I did. I didn't have many pockets of time. I was utilizing the pockets of time, but I started waking up earlier. Maybe you go to sleep a little bit later. For me, I know that I can function really well on 7 hours of sleep. And I also know from personal development that it's not so much about the amount of sleep you get, it's the consistent amount of sleep you get. So my body runs really well off of 7 hours of sleep because that's what I get 7 days a week. If I don't set my alarm, I'm going to wake up after 7 hours of sleep because that's just how my body functions. So I want you guys to schedule in the pockets of time. And the big things that I want you guys to schedule, number one is, when are you going to be making your posts? So I make my post every single day before I work out. So while I'm eating, I eat breakfast before I work out. While I'm eating breakfast, I sit at my counter, I eat, and I make my post. Like, you can, if you guys follow me for a day or two, you will see what a creature of habit I am. I do everything the same exact time in the same exact order. So I make my post every single morning before I eat breakfast. I know kind of what I'm going to post. I plan that out on a Sunday, and then I go ahead and I just write my posts in the moment before I work out. Another great time to do it is right after you work out, while you're feeling good from your workouts and all that. Best time to post. I always say, like, to be honest with you, I don't get caught up in that. The best time to post is when you have time to post and when you can post authentically. If you put good content out there, people are going to see it and they're going to want to watch it. I mean, yeah, there's Facebook and Instagram algorithms and nighttime or whatever. I always also think about, like, when are you scrolling? When do you have time to scroll? Because your ideal person is you. So that's probably when they have time to scroll. But I don't have time to think about when people are looking for my stuff. So I just post when it works for me. So I want you to schedule when you're going to post. I also want you to schedule 3 to 4 times in the day when you can share something in your stories. Now, maybe you're going to be taking pictures throughout the day. I sometimes use pictures from like a couple days ago in my stories. Like, I've just gotten into this mindset to always snap pictures. And then I schedule 3 to 4 times that you can actually go on and you can share in your stories. Again, it's consistency that we're looking for, and that's what your audience is looking for. And then the biggest thing that I want you to schedule are your income producing activities. And that's going to be connecting. When are you going to be connecting with people? So think about, when are you going to add people to your social media following? When are you going to just send that, the messages to people, get to know people? When are you going to connect? Then when are you going to be inviting? So when are you going to send your invites out to different people? And again, these should be at the same time every single day. So if maybe you're going to do your connections while you are, eating lunch. Maybe you're going to send your invites out while you are at soccer practice at night. Whatever it is, make them do them in the same order. So when are you going to connect? When are you going to invite? And when are you going to follow up? Those are the 3 big things that you need to be doing consistently, and they do not take a lot of time. So you can get through all the connections you need to get through a day in 5 minutes. You can get through all of the invites you need to get through in a day in 10 minutes. You can get through all of your follow-ups in 5 minutes. It's when we start to overthink things that it starts to take up a lot more time. And I've never had time to overthink. I've only had time to act if I truly wanted this. And that's what's really saved me a lot of time and has allowed me to be disciplined and consistent. So kind of look at your day and see when you have the 5 minutes to connect, the 10 minutes to invite, the 5 minutes to follow up, and just plug those in consistently throughout the week. And I think, like, while you guys are writing, I'm going to kind of talk. But I think what helps us in being super like efficient in this work and not wasting time is when we know exactly what we're inviting to. So like have a marketing plan. Right now, we all know that we're inviting to 30-day breakaway. So you don't have to think like, what should I invite to? When you're consistent with your posts and you're posting about 30-day breakaway or your story as a runner or whatever, it's really easy to invite to that when you're sharing it in your stories. So always know what you're inviting to. Always know what your general posts are going to be. My rule of thumb is to do 2 call to action posts a week, to always do a transformation post a week, to share your lifestyle, to share something from your personal development. And then all of your stories should be supporting your posts. So if you're posting about like 30-day breakaway, then you should have something in your stories about that. If you're posting a lesson from your personal development, then in your stories, you should show yourself reading your personal development or listening to your personal development. The stories just support and give a little bit more, I don't know, everyday behavior to your posts. So kind of think about it like that so you're not overthinking it. And then something that always helps me too is I always have my follow-up list. So when I say it only takes 5 minutes to follow up, I have like the most simple follow-up, I guess, system that you could imagine. So when somebody tells me they're interested, in my calendar, and I have like a regular calendar, but I also use my Win the Week calendar. So I have like the front page of every week of my Win the Week calendar. And what I do in my block for Monday is I write down the names of the people that said they're interested. So then I know, like, okay, on Monday they said they were interested. I sent them more information. So then, you know, probably on Wednesday, I want to follow up with them to see what they thought about that information. So I always have that calendar in front of me for follow up. And it's super easy. Like some people like to use, you know, Google Streak or whatever, but I keep this as easy as it can be because that's all I can do. So I always have a follow-up list and I always have an invite list. So I always invite first from my posts, second from my stories. But then I also have like ideas of people when I think about 30-day breakaway, like who in my life are runners? Who do I know in the real world, you know, off of social media that are runners? Who have I engaged with before? And I take a little bit of time every Sunday night to kind of scroll through my friends list and also scroll through my followers to see who I need to reach out to and invite, who I've connected with already, but I've never invited to. So I always have a list of about 100 people on a Sunday night that I can take into the week with me to invite from, in addition to inviting from posts and stories. And then I try to always think ahead. So we have a lot of things that we use as a team where we have, you know, our challenge groups starting up. We have a different focus for our challenge groups. I try to think ahead of new programs coming out. So right now we have 30-day breakaway. We have, the peppermint mocha Shakeology coming out. So I try to always think ahead of what we have going on. Something that I always think ahead towards is our coach mentorship and our coach webinar. So I'm always thinking, instead of like, oh my gosh, we have a coach webinar tomorrow, I need to invite 10 people to it. No, like I always know when this date is, and I'm always planning and inviting and thinking that way. And then after you have all of this done, and obviously I don't expect you guys to have your weeks planned out, but I just really wanted to give you a couple minutes to walk through it and to go to kind of understand what it is. You have to communicate. You have to communicate. Like my family makes fun of me all the time because I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I have a call at 9, I have a call at 11, and I have a call at 4 today. And Morgan will be like, Nina, when are your calls? Oh, Nina's got calls today. Nina's got calls. And like the girls will do it too. But I'm constantly communicating with my family when I have calls. It's the same thing as if I were working and I'd be like, I have a meeting at this time, I have a meeting at this time, and I have a meeting at this time. When you communicate to your family that you're treating this like a business and treating this like a job, they respect you and respect it so much more too. So I'm constantly communicating. I communicated with Maya today that I had to leave her game to do this. She's okay with it because I communicated with her. So those are some things to just think about when you're doing this. Now, this is a process that I do every single Sunday night. I am 6 years into this business. I can run this business with my eyes closed. It is not hard work. It's just not easy. It's never going to get easy. Even 6 years in, it's not easy to run this business. But I still plan like this because I need to keep my life organized. I can't expect this business to just happen for me. And if I kind of sort of bit of this business, it's going to kind of sort of like pay like a business. And I can't afford that at this time in my life with my goals. So the last thing that I do on the calendar is I remind myself every day of what my non-negotiables are. And then I remind myself of my goal and the purpose. So my non-negotiables every single day are 25 invites, my workout, and my income producing activities. Those are non-negotiables every single day when it comes to the business. And then I have my goals and my purpose for my business. And my goals and purpose for the business are Success Club 20, because I have impacted 10 lives this month if I do that. And then $5,000 a week income, because if I do that, I have 100% financial freedom and my husband is able to no longer work. So those are two big things. And then my third goal is a team goal, and that's to have 5 2-star diamonds on my team, because that means I have 5 coaches underneath me that have created a life of freedom and flexibility like I have created. So those are the 3 things that are on my mind right now this week that I'm working towards. And I remind myself that every day, because guess what? If I'm not showing up, how in the world am I going to have those 2-star diamonds below me? Like if I don't show up, I'm not supporting them and they're not going to show up. So I have to remind myself of why I'm showing up. So, you know, I could have easily reached out to the other 3 leaders on this call and said, hey guys, last minute change of plans. Maya's got a football game. I'm going to bail on the call. And all of them would have supported it and would have been fine with it. But I wouldn't have been fine with it because I wouldn't have been doing what I needed to do in order to reach my goals. And I know what the purpose behind those goals are. So I have a couple of things for when life gets busy and you get distracted, a couple of things to keep in mind. And the first thing, I have this as a reminder on my phone, and it pops up throughout the day at times when I know are hectic and crazy. So usually times with kids. And it's just this question that pops up and it says, will taking this action bring me relief and allow me to serve others? So when life gets crazy and I kind of get crazy, I think about like inaction and action. I usually don't take action when it's crazy. So this is a question that really helps me. Will taking this action bring me relief and allow me to serve others? Pushing the snooze button, is that going to bring me relief and allow me to serve others? Absolutely not. Binge watching Grey's Anatomy, is that going to bring me relief and allow me to serve others? Absolutely not. So that's a question that I ask myself to kind of course correct me throughout the day. Another thing I remind myself is one day at a time. So right now, the only thing that's in my control is this moment today. So we become anxious and we become stressed out when we start thinking so much about the future. So when we start thinking, oh my gosh, I'm only at Success Club 8 right now. I made a goal to be at Success Club 20. Oh my gosh, I'm not there yet. Like this coach, like stop. Think about where you are right now and what actions can you do right now to get you where you want to be. The more you stay in the present, in order to stay in the present, you have to let go of expectations. And when you do that, you're not as anxious because you're staying in the present. Anxiety is all about worrying about things we don't even know if we need to worry about because they're in the future. And we need to act without expectation. So when you're building this business, just trust in these behaviors, but let go of that expectation. When you're inviting somebody, don't expect them to join you as a coach. Don't expect them to buy a challenge group. Invite them because you're doing it because you know you have this amazing service you can offer them. Do it with love and do it because you know you can change their life, but don't do it expecting they're going to be your next top coach or even a challenger. Just do it because you trust in what you're doing and you have a passion for what you're doing. And then there's something that I'm going to read to you guys, and this is it. We don't have time to play small anymore. You are all here because you desire a change. Showing up is no longer optional. You need to bring forth what is within you. Don't deny your growth and inspiration. Don't die with your music still in you. So your music being all of your potential, all of your passion, all of your worth. Don't die with that in you. Like, know that you're all here because you desire something, you believe in this business, and you believe in more and want more. So you have to go out there and you have to work and you have to play bigger. Stop capping yourself where you are. Stop settling with where you are. Stop settling with who you are, because again, you have this one life to live and you have this one opportunity to do absolutely amazing things, and you have to take advantage of it. So your goal is never to achieve the final outcome. You need to enjoy the process. You don't want to get there to be happy. You want to be happy while you're doing it. So when you're sending out your invites, do it with joy. When you're running this business, don't do it because your upline coach told you have to do it. When you're sending out invites, don't do it because you said, oh, I have to reach Success Club. I have to send these invites out. No, do it because you want to do it. Do it because it makes you happy. Do it because it fulfills you. On the busiest, most stressful days, this business is still my most positive outlet. This business is what brings me joy. This business is what brings me positive, empowering people. And you don't get that everywhere in this world. You don't get it a lot of places in this world. More people are trying to pull you down. Work is trying to overwork you and to defeat you. This is something that can build you up. This is something that can empower you. So don't look at it as like, I'm doing this because I have to reach Success Club. I'm doing this so I can be happy when I'm a 2-star diamond. Do this because you love to do it. Do this because it's a gift. Do it because it brings you joy, and enjoy every single second of it. Send your invites out with a smile. Like, return your messages with a smile. When you get those negative messages, return those negative messages with a little bit of love. Understand where these people might be coming from and what they might be going through in their life. And then the last thing is that inviting can be super, super intimidating. And something that I always tell myself, inviting is actually my favorite part in this business. And the reason it is because I remind myself before I send out any invite that I know all of my invites will be received with positivity because my messages are backed with love and empowerment. And that's something that I say every day before I send my messages out. It's just a simple little reminder, and it makes me send my messages out in a little bit different of a way. And it's not just so mechanical and not checking the boxes. Now, while I work this business in a very mechanical way, because that is how I can be disciplined and how I can be consistent, nothing I do is mechanical. And that's why almost 6.5 years later, I still get so much joy doing this. And I still wake up at 4:15 in the morning and I'm excited to do it. I love Mondays more than I love Sundays because it brings that structure back to me. And it allows me to talk to more people, and it allows me to change more people's lives. And that's how I look at this opportunity. And if I can do it, anyone can do it. And maybe one day, 6 years from now, you're going to be on the side of the road in a car doing a team call because that's what fills your cup and that's what gives you purpose. And maybe you won't, and that's okay too. But if you want it, you absolutely can do it. And if you want it bad enough, and if it brings you enough joy, you will find a way to work it no matter how busy you are. So my wish for you guys is to walk away and to take any bits and pieces of this. Maybe you take it all. Maybe you take bits and pieces of it and make it your own. But please, please, please remember to take it one day at a time. Remember to stay in the present so you don't become anxious. And remember to do it all with joy. Be happy while doing it. And stop, let go of that outcome. Just let go of it and just trust this process and trust why you're doing it and trust in this gift that you have to give other people. So I know I've chatted a long time, and I know on the East Coast it's super late. So if any of you guys have questions, I'm happy to answer any questions. And even as you go through this process, like in the future, I mean, this obviously is something that I do every Sunday. I sit down to do, and it takes me a while to do it. It's not something that I do in 5 minutes. Like, I take a good hour to 2 hours to do this. And this is how I plan my week. So I win my week every single week. So if it's something that like you guys walk away with and it's like, how do I do this? Or how can I plug this in? Feel free, like, please reach out to me. Please ask me questions. But if any of you guys have any questions now, I'm happy to answer anything.
I have a comment, and I don't know about you guys, but I have all the feels after this call. If this doesn't make you so incredibly proud to do what we do, and just to see what, like, that belief and dedication that Nina has, and how she broke down every single step on how this is completely doable for anyone. And the underlying, everything behind this is all that passion, purpose, fulfillment, the mission that we are on to make an impact and change lives. Like, that is wholeheartedly behind everything that she just taught us tonight. And you were amazing, Nina. Thank you for sharing with us and adjusting your schedule. Thank your family for us. I hope Maya did well. You'll have to let us know how she does in her game.
Ella's been texting me this whole time, and I'm like trying to figure out what she's saying, and she doesn't make sense. So.
But yeah, this was so incredibly helpful, and I appreciate you so much. I know we all appreciate you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys for your time. It's a sacrifice for all of us. Like, no matter where we are in the business, it's an hour of our life that we don't get back. So thank you guys for choosing to spend this hour with us. Like I said, I hope you can walk away and do something with it, but it was an absolutely honor to just share my heart and share my passion. And this is what I do and what I love to do. And I know if I can do it, you guys absolutely can too. So let's just not walk away from this call and be inspired. Let's walk away from this call and implement this and take action. And let's use the next 80 days of this year to just implement this, see what can happen, see what's possible, and then hit the ground running in 2021 too. So you guys all have what you need to live whatever life you want. You just need to make the decision to do it.
Thank you so much, Nina.
You're welcome.
All right. If you guys have any any questions, you know where to find Nina.
Yes.
For that matter, we're all here to help you. All right. Have a great night, ladies.
Bye, guys.
Bye.